He raised a point of order on his reading and understanding of Article 257, and you did promise that we first dispense with the earlier matter, which was whether to adjourn or not, then we will respond to it. This afternoon, on his way to Parliament, he was stopped by gentlemen who claimed to be police officers from the DCI. They asked him to alight from his car, and he's now in a car headed to, he says he's headed to DCI headquarters, and he doesn't understand what his crime is. You will recall, Mr. Speaker, that 3 months ago, we had the IG seated where Senator Malala is seated, and the DCI seated where our colleague Senator Pereno is seated. We were discussing the unfortunate events of what had happened during the revenue formula debacle. And they made a commitment before this House that anytime senators are considering such monumental issues, if there was an issue that warranted them being arrested, it will be first with consultations of a speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I'd wish to know from you whether you are aware why Senator Mithika Linturi has been arrested, and if you're not aware, how do we proceed knowing that we are about to enter that silly season again, like we did during the revenue sharing formula, where colleagues used to be picked one by one. We had to drive to places like Kiserian and Kitengela to look for some of our colleagues and protect them. So, Mr. Speaker, we need your guidance so that we know how to behave in the next few days if this is what we are going to be through as we discuss this very important matter. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, please guide the House on how do we handle such matters.
Senator Khaniri.
Mr. Speaker, the issue being raised by the Senator for Kericho, my good brother Senator Cheruiyot, is extremely important. It should be noted, Mr. Speaker, that an attack on one of us, it is an attack on all of us. And Mr. Speaker, if we let this go on unabated, then today it's Linturi, tomorrow it's James Orengo, the day after is Pogisho or Khaniri. Mr. Speaker, we must stand and speak with one voice as a Senate, that if indeed our colleague has been apprehended, arrested in line of duty, just for performing his constitutional duty, then as a Senate we must protest. Some of us will not participate in the debate this afternoon until it is explained to us what is happening to our colleague. So, Mr. Speaker, you are the leader of this House, and we are urging you, Mr. Speaker, to take this matter seriously. And for me, as a person, I'm declaring that if that is not explained, then I will boycott. I will not participate in the sessions that we are going to have this afternoon and even tomorrow.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Mr. Speaker, this matter is so serious. And Mr. Speaker, if Senator Linturi has been arrested in the course of duty, we should all leave this chamber. It's not fair. And Mr. Speaker, I participated in the commission or the inquiry onto the arrest of Senator Malala, Senator of Bomet, Langat, and Lutumbesi. Mr. Speaker, since that time to now, nothing came out of those arrests. It was just pure harassment. At that time, Mr. Speaker, in fact, at that particular moment, the resolution that was made by then the chair, together with the gentlemen from the National Police Service, including the DCI and the IG, was that there will be what is called a liaison committee between the office of the speaker, of the speakers, both houses, and the police, so that if there is something that they need from a member of parliament, including Senate, they would first of all make the necessary inquiries before arresting a person in the middle of proceedings. It's just totally unacceptable. is wrong. And it doesn't matter what he believes in, because this chamber is supposed to be a chamber of debate. This is not a choir where we are supposed to agree or sing the same song. People are supposed to debate and vote. And it will be misconstrued, Mr. Speaker. Even if there was something that they were looking for, it will be misconstrued that they have arrested him so that they either reduce the number of people here or they intimidate the people who have an alternative view. It is very unfortunate that they will do that. So we hope, Mr. Speaker, and in the case of your predecessor, let me say that and repeat it, I've repeated it again. The police came to Parliament Road during our debate on Election Laws Amendment Bill. We were barricaded here. We got off the car somewhere around Uhuru Highway. Your predecessor adjourned this house, Mr. Speaker, until they moved out of Parliament Road. So there must be an explanation. Otherwise, I said the last time, next time it will be somebody else. And there will never be an end to this. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Kimani Wamatangi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise, Mr. Speaker, to also convey my concern. And Mr. Speaker, I want to agree that indeed the independence of every one of us when we are participating in our duty is paramount. It is not compromisable. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, that people in this House as members must be able to debate, express themselves, Mr. Speaker, say what they think is their opinion, Mr. Speaker, without any interference, Mr. Speaker, and without fear. Mr. Speaker, that must be how we debate and how members feel, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have heard the senator for Kericho, Mr. Speaker, and because Senator Linturi was with us here in the morning, he made the contributions he made, Mr. Speaker. Then we have just been informed by Senator Cheruiyot that he has been arrested. But Mr. Speaker, my plea to the House would be this, because we are here, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Linturi must be within the boundaries of this country or this city. Can we find out, Mr. Speaker, now, where Mr. Speaker, Mr. Senator Linturi is, Mr. Speaker, without first imputing that he has been arrested for participating in this House. And then, Mr. Speaker, once that is ascertained, Mr. Speaker, then you can proceed to take the necessary action that would be taken by you as the leader of this House, Mr. Speaker. But I believe that in the best interest of not only parity but fairness, both to Senator Linturi and to the integrity of the House, that before we conclude that that is why Senator Linturi has been arrested, Mr. Speaker, we have the means to be able to find out, Mr. Speaker, as to why and where are the whereabouts of Senator Linturi, and within a few minutes report to this House, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I was just seeking your indulgence so that, Mr. Speaker, we can put the truth to the table. Mr. Speaker, it is possible to do that within no time, in a short while, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not gagging anybody. I've not even said anything. Honestly. I was just, no, don't suspect. I was just saying, as we continue contributing, I was just saying in the next 20 minutes, if Senator Linturi is not here, we're going to make a decision. Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I think I want to be very, very clear on this matter. Mr. Speaker, this is just an attempt to intimidate not just Senator Linturi, but all the senators and all the legislators. Mr. Speaker, I took time to look at this document. One of the very controversial issues in this document, Mr. Speaker, which has been cited by the committee, is an attempt to transfer the powers and functions of the Police Service Commission to the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, if the IG is behaving the way he's behaving now, before these powers are transferred to him, how will he behave when the powers are transferred to him? Mr. Speaker, you know some people have already implemented this BBI bill. Mr. Speaker, my submission is that you require the IG in person to produce Senator Linturi here. Whether Senator Linturi was arrested in connection with this or not, the timing is suspect. I thank Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Mamatangi?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, as members ventilate, Mr. Speaker, and as I've just said, it is possible for us to find out where is Senator Linturi. Mr. Speaker, I am informed, and I need to inform the House, because I said we would call and find out that Senator Linturi had a mishap with some police officers who apprehended him, but Mr.
Order.
Mr. Speaker,
Order, senators.
Mr. Speaker, but Senator Linturi has been released, and he is on the way to this House in the next 10 minutes, Mr. Speaker. He was released and he's on the way to this House, Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators.
Mr. Speaker, this matter was brought, and we have agreed, and as I've said, Mr. Speaker, that indeed it is very wrong. It is absolutely wrong for any member of this House to conduct business in this House, Mr. Speaker, in fear. That's what we have said, Mr. Speaker. It is completely unacceptable that a member of this House should be looking behind his back when doing the things that he is doing. Mr. Speaker, I'm on a point of order.
Okay, what's your point of order, Senator Cheriot? But it's on a point of order.
I'm on a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Let him.
Mr. Speaker,
Okay, let him conclude.
I'm on a point
Order,
of order.
Senator Cheriot.
Let me finish, Mr. Speaker, and then any member is free, because, Mr. Speaker, I volunteered to go and find out. And what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, is as far as we are concerned, and as a senator in this House, Mr. Speaker, I am saying firmly that it is completely wrong for any member of this House to conduct his business looking behind his back in fear, Mr. Speaker. That is absolutely what we are saying, Mr. Speaker. And no one should imagine that for any one reason, Mr. Speaker, that we would condone that kind of thing. And I want to say to my colleagues.
He's on a point of order, Senator.
And I want to say to my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, that family, so that we do not unnecessarily raise temperatures. Senator Linturi has now been released, and he's on his way here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is the point.
Order, Senator Orengo. Okay. Okay. What's your point of order? What's your point of order before Senator Orengo?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have spoken, as the government apologist continued talking, I have spoken with Senator Linturi, and he's still under arrest. He's still in custody.
Senator Orengo.
Mr. Speaker, this matter, Mr. Speaker, this matter...
Order, senators.
This matter is not as simple as the majority whip is making it. It's not. And Mr. Speaker, this issue has everything to do with the liberties of Parliament. Indeed, there used to be a practice which is observed in the Commonwealth, that when a member of Parliament is on the way to Parliament, or a Parliament is in session, which is required to attend, the member of Parliament should not be arrested without the leave of the Speaker. Because then the Speaker would understand that the arrest has nothing to do with the proceedings before the House. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this because I've been a victim. I've been a victim. And if these rules were not complied with, many members would have been arrested from even the belly of the chamber. If we let it continue, one of these days, policemen are going to come into the chamber, not just to arrest Linturi, to arrest the Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the day, you are the head of this House. I cannot take the powers of communicating with another arm of government on behalf of parliamentarians. No. In fact, unfortunately, Mr. Wamatangi cannot speak for the executive. He can only speak for this House. So I suggest that until you have a proper answer, we have no business continuing. Mr. Clark, I want the Speaker to listen to this. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, you know, sometimes you want to vote, and you don't know whether that arrest has a linkage to what is going to happen in the House. Yes. That's why that tradition was very important. Yes. That tradition was very important. In England, in the 16th century, a king went to the chamber of the House of Commons with 400 policemen to arrest 5 members of parliament. And the Speaker refused. In fact, he said he is the one who, first of all, determined the liberties of parliament and defied the king. So today, Mr. Speaker, until you are told where Honorable Linturi is, you must eat everything we are giving you as information, yes, as rumors. No one of us can tell you whether Senator Linturi has been released until officially there is communication between you and the involved parties, or Linturi himself is here. So I move that the House adjourns to give you time to deal with this matter.
Okay, order, senators, order, senators.